What's going on, everyone? My name's Andy. Welcome back to another FPL video, and today we're talking player price predictions for the 2019-20 season. I know FPL hasn't launched yet, but I wanted to get some videos out there. You can consider this my summer training back for making videos when the game fully launches. I put out a post on YouTube the other day to ask for you guys what players you wanted to see in this video, so I've taken a selection of them, mostly the more popular players that I think people are interested in. So we'll go through there, obviously price increases, decreases, or maybe even position changes. Before we jump into the specific players, it's probably worth just briefly talking about kind of what goes into a price rise or a decrease or even a maintain. The obvious one is how well did they do last season if they were in FPL. If they absolutely smashed it and they beat players much higher price for them, you'd expect their price to go up. If they were from outside the league, so it's a new transfer into the league, that's obviously then you've got to look at their record at previous clubs. How many goals do they usually score? How many clean sheets are they going to help their new team get? And obviously which team they go to. New position as well. So if a midfielder gets put to a forward, you'd expect at least the price to probably remain the same, not go up too much. Obviously it would depend on who the player is, because you're going to lose clean sheet potential. In the case of Liverpool, for example, if you move the midfielder to forward, that's a hell of a lot of clean sheets. If they get 20 clean sheets as a defence, then that's 20 points a midfielder loses, and they can't get their extra point for a goal as well. So you've got to look at that. New club, obviously, you know, someone like Wan-Bissaka has been heavily linked to Man United. You'd expect a price increase for him anyway this season because he was so cheap last year and he played like every game he was available for. But if he's at Man United, you'd hope, not necessarily given how they played last year, but you'd hope that Man United could get more clean sheets than Palace. So you'd see maybe another 0.5 added onto his price tag, or to bring him into line with the other Man United defenders, whatever they might be. And then potential as well. So, you know, maybe there was Jota, for example, started off the season pretty poorly last year, then got moved to that kind of more forward position and absolutely smashed it in the second half of the season. So, yes, you can't look at the whole season for him. And obviously they've got to decide whether he can produce for the whole season and maybe get more points. But you've got to look at potential as well. If he smashed it in a different position, he's probably going to be a forward next year. And if he keeps doing as well as he did, he's going to score more points. So you've got to look at that as well. And the big one, I suppose, for me, and probably for FPL, and I think they have balanced prices pretty well the last couple of years, is whether a player is an auto include or an auto exclude. So, for example, you get someone like Jimenez last year, 5.5. He's almost a must-have because he was getting so many points for such a cheap price. And obviously they couldn't predict that. I think 5.5 for a newly promoted team was fine at the time. But, you know, you can't have Salah, for example. You couldn't now price him back down to 10 million because everyone would have him in his team. It wouldn't even be a question. Once you put him at 13 million, you've got to think about whether you want to spend that money. And that, you know, the same for, you know, if Richarlison was suddenly 10 million, obviously you wouldn't expect him to score as many points as the other players around 10 million. So that would be an auto exclude from the squads at the start. So there has to be a fine balancing point to actually give people some thought. Is that really good value? Is that not good value? Rather than, yes, I have to have him, he's too cheap not to. So yeah, let's kick on and take a look at the players. So let's get the top dog out of the way first, Mo Salah. Although I've not written it down, there's obviously been a lot of discussion about whether he should be a forward this year instead of a midfielder. Now, I think he's going to be a midfielder, which is why I've put him down as 13 million. I think if he goes as a forward, he might get a slight price drop at something like 12.5. The reason I think he's going to be a midfielder again is, yes, he did play centrally, but he played 13 out of 38 games, according to Transfermarkt, as a forward. The rest of it, he lined up as a kind of right winger, inside forward on the right, whatever you want to call it. He's listed as a right winger. Now, obviously, we know he plays more central than that. He usually comes in, if you look at his average position, it's as central as Firmino and even closer to the goal. But I think FPL are going to look more at how he lined up rather than exactly how he played. And I think timing is key because he started as a right winger on Transfermarkt. In the middle of the season, he played as a forward in that kind of centre forward position. And then towards the end of the season, he came back to a right wing. So the fact that he started and ended as a right winger in terms of lineups means I think he's going to stay as a midfielder. I can't see him going forward. I think you've got to look at the likes of Mane and Sterling as well if you do that. And I just think FPL needs a bigger overhaul to how they do positions and how they do point scoring if they're going to start moving people like Salah to a forward position. So it would definitely make it interesting, but I think he's going to come in as midfielder. It'd be interesting to see. There's a good few accounts that think he'll go as a forward. So we'll wait and find out when FPL releases. In terms of price, 13 million. I'm not going to do a price increase. So you could say he's due a price increase because he scored 303, I think, points it was, not last season, the one before, and then he's got 259 points. It's not often a player scores that heavily 2 seasons in a row, but because they didn't put in more than 13 million after scoring more than 300 points, which was ridiculous, he's now come down 40 odd points. I just don't see how they can give him a price increase from there. And also a lot of it's psychological. I think as soon as they put a 13.5 or even a 14 million, that'll then put him into almost the exclude category. I don't think it'll be an auto exclude. I think there's still some merit to doing it, but I just don't see the price increase as well. I think you'll see the likes of Sterling and Mane get pretty hefty, especially with Mane get a hefty price increase, and Sterling probably up to like 11.5 or 12 million. So he'll be close to Salah anyway. So it's already going to be hard to stretch your budget as is when you start off the season. Obviously, lots of people are going to want Liverpool, Man City midfielders, but I just think for Salah it's going to be 13 million because other players got quite close to him this year. And he's going to be a midfielder for me. So Liverpool defence was one of the harder ones to predict because I think 7 million is an absolute dead cert. I do think there's a chance they come in at 7.5. If you look at someone like Alonso, who, you know, not this season, but maybe previous seasons was almost seen as must-have, he came in at 6.5 this season. I think he got 165 points the previous season. And obviously Trent got more than that this year. He got 185, didn't play all minutes. Robertson 213, the most a defender has ever got. And Van Dijk's got 208. And I think with Liverpool, you have to look at the potential for clean sheets next season. It's going to be exactly the same. I can't see why they would keep a massively decreased amount of clean sheets. So sure, they might not keep exactly the same, but they're going to be right up there. And also, you've seen what the assist potential is for these two. It's absolutely insane. So I'm going to go for 7 million. I just think if they go to 7.5, yes, it will make it tough. But I think because we're going to see increases in the premium midfielders and stuff as well, it's going to be tricky to fit everyone in your team anyway. So I think at 7.5, people will start to be put off too much, whereas 7, it's still hard to get maybe double Liverpool defence because they're so expensive. But getting 1 is good. But if you want the second, you've got to pay a premium price of 7 million. And I think they're all going to be priced the same. I think I didn't put Van Dijk on this, but I think Robertson, Trent, and Van Dijk have to be priced the same because as soon as they make someone cheaper, he would then become the go-to. So if these two are 7, Van Dijk 6.5, I think at the start of the season when money is tight, you would just take Van Dijk. So if you look at total points, Robertson 213, Van Dijk 208, and Trent 185. But points per game, Trent was 6.4 because obviously he didn't play as many minutes. We saw some rotation, especially when Gomez was fit at the start of the season. Now, interestingly, I think there's a chance that Trent will get put 0.5 million cheaper, but I think that's going to be a mistake because I think he has kind of established himself as the right back. Yes, Gomez could come back in, but Trent had such a good season, I don't see why Klopp wouldn't carry on with him, and obviously his attacking potential is really good. So there's a chance he comes in 0.5 more, but arguably if they're all going to play every minute, Trent may even score the most amount of points. So they should be the same. Van Dijk 5.5 points per game and Robertson 5.9. Obviously with Van Dijk, you're paying knowing that if he's fit, he's going to play every single game. So my prediction for the Liverpool defence is 7 million. I do think there's a chance they come in at 7.5, and I also think there's a chance if that happens, Trent may get the 7 million price tag. We'll see. So with Harry Kane, I'm actually looking at a price decrease for him. I think he started the season last year at 12.5. Obviously, he's been super consistent in the league ever since he kind of came onto the scene. Didn't do so well last year, but had a pretty big injury towards the end. But in previous seasons, his lowest score is like 191 points in the last 4 seasons. Otherwise, he's got over 200. So he is Mr. Consistent. We know he's on penalties. He's going to play every game that he's fit. But I do think that's been part of the problem recently. He has been played so many minutes for England and Spurs. Obviously had injuries as well. I think he's needed a break. So hopefully this summer will be the one for him. But I do see a price decrease. And one of the reasons is midfield and kind of big at the back has meant that last season going with a cheap forward line really worked. And I think people are going to kind of take that on board this year and do that from the start, which is going to make it very difficult to kind of convince people to go for premium strikers from FPL's point of view. I also think Aguero did so well last year, coming at 11.5, I think he started at. I think he's going to see a decrease to 12, so I think it makes sense to then put Kane down to 12 as well, so you've got to think about it. If you leave Kane at 12.5 and get Aguero up but still be cheaper, I just think it's very tough given how good Man City are, and if they don't bring in another striker, that Aguero is going to play a considerable amount of minutes and absolutely smash it again. So for me, Kane's going to come down a bit. I'd actually like to see them maybe take a slight risk and put him at 11.5 The risk that obviously he might not score as well this year, but it'd also make more people buy him, but at the expense of not having a midfielder. But I just don't think they can do that because he's been so consistent. So for me, a slight decrease to make him maybe a little bit more of an interest over Salah at some points in the season, and also to give you something to think about with Aguero. So for me, a price decrease for Kane from 12.5 to 12. So Raúl Jiménez was a massive FPL manager favourite last year, including mine. Came in at 5.5 million starting price. And absolutely smashed it. He was the third highest scoring forward, only less than Aguero and Aubameyang. He scored 181 points, which was 7 more than Vardy scored. He scored 174, and obviously Vardy came in at 9 million last year. Obviously, slight difference is that Vardy's done it before. We've seen him be pretty consistent over the seasons now. That was Raúl Jiménez's first season in the Premier League. So he's definitely getting a big increase from 5.5. I think that's absolutely certain. Definitely 7.5 plus. I just think when you come in and you're the third highest scoring forward and you beat Vardy and you play for a Wolves team that finished 7th, for no reason they can't do that again, we're going to be looking at 8 or 8.5. Now, I think if you go 8, that's probably a little bit too low, given that Vardy will probably be at least 9, maybe 9.5 again this season. So they've got to get him close to that. Obviously, the caveat is he's only played 1 season. Can he keep it up? Will Wolves bring in another forward, which could provide competition? Maybe he'll see less minutes, get rotated more. And obviously they do have Europe to contend with as well. So I think this is a tricky one for them to price, because they've got to do a big increase, but you don't want to, again, auto-exclude him. I think with Wolves fixtures, we're going to see a pretty low percentage of owners, to be honest. Obviously, you'll get a lot of people that see how well he did and put him in their team, but I think more focused FPL managers will probably avoid him. So again, obviously caveat, I could get the prices wrong. I think there is a chance at 8, but I think just below Vardy is how they'll price him, because he beat him on points. Can he do it again? So Laporte I actually found pretty easy to price. This was one that was suggested on YouTube. Now I've said that, of course, this will be definitely the one that I get wrong, but I've got him down as a 6.5. He started last season at 5.5, and points-wise wasn't too far behind Trent Alexander-Arnold. Obviously, the Liverpool boys did really well. Laporte was the 4th highest scoring defender, ahead of all the Chelsea lads. And, you know, Azpilicueta came in at 6.5 last year, so I think that's where Laporte will get put for this year. He's definitely not going to be 5.5 again, unfortunately. And I just think that's actually going to be a really good price, because it's going to be slightly lower than the Liverpool defenders, for someone who's probably got the potential to not maybe get 200 plus points, but get close to them. And obviously, if he's costing less money, then you don't expect the same amount of points anyway. Not as much assist potential as Trent and Robertson, but obviously he can score goals, free kicks and corners and stuff like that. And we have seen him get the odd assist here or there as well. And I just think with the centre-back situation at City, Stone's not looking great. Company's left now. Otamendi didn't really get a look in last year, and he can play on the left side of the 2 centre-backs. He looks like he's probably going to keep his position and not be rotated too often. Obviously, it can happen, but we'll have to wait and see what kind of players Pep brings in. He might bring in a couple more centre-backs and we'll go from there. But absolute double game week hero last year, got massive points in them. So for 6.5, I think someone that wants to take a risk for a few game weeks, and I don't know if you can call it a risk with City given the amount of clean sheets they get, but going for him and saving a bit of money over one of the Liverpool, you know, maybe you go Laporte and Robertson instead of Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold, spread your bets a bit and go for clean sheets from both teams. So 6.5 for me. I'm pretty confident that one will come in for sure. So we'll leave that one there. Thanks very much for watching. As always, make sure to give the video a like if you've enjoyed it. It really helps. And subscribe. There's going to be loads of new content going into the new season, especially once FPL is launched. The videos will be coming thick and fast. So subscribe and hit that bell so you're notified when the videos go live. And obviously leave a comment below. Let me know if you massively disagree with any of the prices. If you've got any other players that you want to predict yourself, leave a comment below and I'll try and get back to as many as I can. Otherwise, I'm going to leave it there. As always, like, comment, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff. And I'll catch you soon. Cheers.